Hello and welcome to another episode of Online Business Made Easy podcast. Today we have an awesome guest in Andrea Mason. Andrea has over 2 decades of experience in personal development, a BSW in social work, and a major in psychology. Certified as an international motivational speaker under the mentorship of Mr. Les Brown, certified small business entrepreneur, certified professional organizer, and your personal accountability coach. I would like to welcome Andrea, and we are very excited to have you on the podcast. And we would like to discuss a lot of things with you.
Absolutely. Assalamu alaikum, Prathmesh. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone watching this today live and on the playback. I welcome you, and it's an honor to be here.
Yes. So, Andrea, I would like to know what is your entrepreneurial journey, your story, how you came into business, how you became accountability coach. So things like that.
Absolutely. So, my name is Andrea Mason. I was born in an underdeveloped country, that of South America in Colombia, during the war torn drug zone era at its prime. My parents had to make the ultimate sacrifice to put me up for adoption, where I was welcomed with open arms and unconditional love to America, weighing in only at 11 pounds at 11 months old. Upon my arrival, my parents had made me aware when I was of age that I was adopted. And it was at that time that my identity was to be found. And in doing so, I realized that it was my mission to give back to the country, to give back to this world, for I was a gift, given an opportunity of a lifetime to live my life as I wanted to and be here before you today. In doing so, my parents had instilled in me, Andrea, no matter what, follow your heart and not the herd. And do what you love, do it best, and do it right. And in doing so, I was able to successfully enter the industries that of social work, psychology, medical, wellness, and holistic fields. And in my careers, I've developed plans and actions to develop my own journey called Press Play, Plan Life According to You, which was empowered and instilled in me to dream big by my mentor, Mr. Les Brown. And here I am today, global voice in front of you, speaking and sharing my story, my mission with the world.
That is so inspiring, and you know it's really great story that you have, and what you are doing is really great, sharing your knowledge with all over the world, sharing your uh, I mean, it's a great thing that sharing knowledge is a great thing, and you are doing it. I mean, that's a very nice thing.
Thank you.
And I mean, you are a accountability coach, you are a motivational speaker, you have your signature program play. And so now my community mostly consists of new business people, those who have just started out their business. So one of the issue that I found when I started my own business, like I was listening to a lot of gurus, lot of coaches, I should do this, I should do that.
Right.
I mean, it kind of creates a jumble. One coach is saying like you should go for a website, that is the must have. One is saying you should have a marketing process. One is saying you should have a social media. And it's very difficult for a single entrepreneur, to focus on all these areas. What you will suggest, to a person who is just starting out the business? Like, I mean, there are only 24 hours in a day. I mean, and you
Yeah.
cannot burn the candle both ways.
Absolutely. That's a great point you bring up that I have experienced during my journey. So, what I encourage young entrepreneurs at any age starting out, number one, create a vision. Make sure it's clear, concrete, and those around you are aware of your vision. Now, I'm going to warn you, I'm not going to tell you everybody's going to see your vision. Some people may fall into the category of the naysayers, other may say
Correct.
you're dreaming too big. But as long as you have a vision and a direction, that is the way to start. Secondly, the key to building a business and becoming an entrepreneur is doing your homework, doing your research, understanding what it takes, what are the skill sets, qualifications, and what it really hones into if it taps into what you're passionate about. Because when you're passionate about something, you're going to do it regardless, and you're going to do it full 100% all in. Thirdly, you're going to inquire and look about the investment that you're going to make. And now I'm not only talking about the financial investment, but I'm
Correct.
talking about the investment of time, the investment of a balance of life, the investment of your contributions to this world and what your dreams are all about. Next, I would encourage individuals, as I have done, do an apprenticeship, do an internship, see what a day in the
Correct.
life of the industry looks like on a daily basis.
Correct.
Is it something that you're really interested in? A lot of people walk into a mindset of being in the particular industry and they only have a small perspective of what it's
Correct.
about, whether it's from media or someone they know or even the television. So
Correct.
go through an apprenticeship, spend a couple of hours supporting and volunteering your time to understand, is this really what I want to do? Finally,
Correct.
application and mastery. Make sure that you understand and apply what you've learned. Because if you are learning, for example, the old cliche, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. And as you had
Correct.
mentioned, Prathabesh, there are so many books out there. There's so many videos out there, but you can go down a wormhole and make your stress and
Correct.
anxiety that much more difficult. Hone into what it is you want to do.
Correct.
Create a prototype, create a blueprint of what you want to do first.
Correct.
Then go out and seek those industries and individuals that are successful doing it that way. And then you can mold all of your experiences, your wins, your gains, your losses, your
Correct.
shortcomings, and then mold it into one. So that would definitely be my view. And the most important to remember, my friends, have patience.
Correct.
A
That's
tree does
true.
not grow overnight. Rome was not built in a day.
Right.
Learn
Absolutely.
about yourself through self discovery and self awareness. Learn about what you are
Correct.
able to tolerate. Know yourself best, for you are the asset of the business, and your health is most key.
Correct. That's very true. And the thing you talked about, doing apprenticeship, that is very true because when I graduated from my college, I
Mhm.
directly started with my own business and it was a tough
Wow.
ask.
Wow. Wow.
And I learned of the job. I was lucky. I did not fail,
Mhm.
but it's a risky thing to do. And you should never do this. I mean, we have perceptions about a lot of businesses like this is a
Right.
glamorous business. Social media is a glamorous business. That's what
Right.
people think. They don't know how much analytics is behind that, and it's just a numbers game ultimately.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So there is one front to any business, but there is a back. At the back end is very might be very different, and that's
Absolutely.
why very rightly you said that apprenticeship is the way to go.
Yes, and it's funny that I actually applied what I mentioned because our son is headed to middle school and he wanted to have a particular industry. So it was just, I just realized that I had two good friends in the industry. And even at a young age, he did an apprenticeship and he really likes it. And like I said, that's the best thing also is it's not
Correct.
all the bells and whistles, it's the hard work
Correct.
behind the scenes. We only see the end result, and that's what the false
Exactly.
advertising that the media does, the limitations.
Right.
And within your family, you always know someone in that industry, and I know
Correct.
someone or she works there, and get a variety of perspectives. Get the good, the
Correct.
bad, and the ugly so that you are not
Yes.
skewed in one way that it's all great or it's all bad. Everybody has different
Right.
experiences. And definitely
Correct.
have patience. Be kind to yourself through the journey. It is a
Yes.
journey, not a destination.
Right. Absolutely. And another thing you talked about, like there are a lot of tutorials, lot of videos.
Mhm.
It's information overload basically.
Yes.
You have to cut through the noise. No, basically have only one mentor and follow him
Yes. And
rather than having, yeah.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, rather than having multiple mentors and following different paths, it doesn't make any sense.
Yes, and I can attest to that because I went to the greatest of the great, the guru himself, Mr. Les Brown, because I knew I had a
Yes.
message. I knew I had a story. I knew I had a voice. And I
Correct.
went to the top who does it well with integrity, passion, and genuinity, and is genuine. And that's what I went to. I could have gone to any other motivational speaker, but I really resonated with Mr. Brown. We share the same stories of fellow adoptees and the trials and tribulations through success. So I encourage you,
Correct.
definitely, if you're going to do something, your whole heart has to be in it, committed,
Correct.
balanced, easy with yourself, and patience. But most importantly, go to the best of the best, because
Correct.
that is what is going to show you true success and get you where you
Correct.
need to be.
Correct. And you go to best of the best. They will give
Mhm.
you maybe a framework, maybe a process, but
Yes.
ultimately it's you. You have to do the work. It's not
Yes.
like that the mentor has a some magic pill with him or her.
Right. Right.
So
Absolutely.
a
He's not
lot of
waving
people
a
make
wand
that
over
mistake.
you and just
Correct.
saying,
Exactly.
"Okay, here you go. Now you're there." It's a lot of work. A lot of work.
Absolutely. I
Yes.
mean, a lot of people have perception that I'm in a $5,000 program now. The success
Mhm.
is bound to come. It's
Right.
not like that. I mean, you have to work hard. You have to
Yes.
go through the whole process. And like you said, patience is the key.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you're not taking risks, like Mr. Brown said, you're not even trying, you know.
Correct. Exactly. Exactly. No, one of the experience that I would like to share is
Mhm.
when I graduated from college. I started with my business, and my other friends were doing jobs. They
Mm.
started earning money. I was not earning any money.
Mhm.
It's kind of you are riding on that wave of I'm starting my business. You are high on motivation, and month after month you are just investing in your business. Maybe your time, maybe your money, your emotions, and everything you are investing in your business,
Mhm.
but you don't get back. I mean, some people get a overnight, not overnight success. Maybe they get two or three clients in, let's say, 2 months, 3 months. Some may have to work for even an year to get a client.
Right.
So how do you keep up with that motivation? How do you keep yourself motivated?
That's a great question. That's what I've been experiencing in the beginning of my journey. I actually did the opposite. I was one of your friends that after school, I went right into the experience field and the experience realm. And then I decided, let me go to school at the same time. I was burning the candle, like you said, on both ends, and it was difficult. But my motivation throughout my experience is I really had to remember where I come from. And I reminded myself I was like a like pretty much, probably we wouldn't be here if, physically on this earth, if my parents didn't, believe in me and adopt me. And it was probably far from the extreme. And I realized, you know what? They gave me a chance. They made a choice. They made a decision that this is what they wanted to do. And also, in doing so in the realms of the business, you have to understand your purpose, your mission, your
Correct.
calling. And it takes a lot to get there. It's not like you're going to wake up and say, okay, I want to do A, B, and C. You really have
Correct.
to do a deep dive into understanding who you are. What makes you
Correct.
happy? What are you passionate about? And am I willing to do this, even if I know if it's 3 months, 2 years, 5 years that I'm not going to make any revenue? I know that sounds like, Andrea, how could you say that? But when you follow your heart, it doesn't even feel like work, and
Correct.
you're not following the herd, which leads to hurt. I
Correct.
love learning about individuals, and that's what has empowered me to do the social work and psychology route, because social work was culture, diversity, behaviorisms, and understanding
Correct.
socioeconomic status. But I also got the science behind it through psychology of understanding why people do and what they don't do. And
Correct.
waking up every morning to see a new face, to learn a new story, to resonate with someone or empower someone, that is the fuel to my fire. I'm not saying every
Correct.
day I wake up, I jump up and I'm like, I'm ready to go. There are
Correct.
some difficult days. We are
Right.
human. But I know in
Correct.
the back of my mind that this was my calling. This is what I enjoy doing. I
Correct.
I love communicating with people and learning new things. That's what I'm always
Correct.
going to do. If you ask me, okay, would you rather sit behind a desk for my personality style? Would you sit behind a desk and run some numbers and documents, that's not my style. That was not for me.
Correct.
I like
Correct.
going out and interacting with individuals. And
Right.
I've really grown personally through that. And like I said, that's
Right.
not for everyone. But you know what's going to happen and has happened is I'm going to find an individual who does love doing numbers, does loving stats, and
Correct.
we're going to be part of my team and we're going to work together and help each other out. You
Correct.
know, what I love about your model here and your logo is it's all puzzle pieces. And that
Correct.
is what the world is about, puzzle pieces,
Correct.
finding those gaps that you need help in those areas and someone else can benefit because we all are learning together. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to remember why you started your business in first place.
Yes. Yes.
And it and back of the mind, you always knew that, I'm not going to generate the revenue quickly, not in a week,
Right.
not in a month, sometimes
Right.
not even a year.
Correct. Correct.
So that's a great advice. I mean, you have to
Right.
remember your calling.
Right.
That's right.
And that's what I see. I was like, do I want to do something? You know, my father was very successful on Wall Street, and he would see me and me and my brother with our eyes closed every single day, because he was leaving in the early morning when we were still asleep, and he would come home late at night, and we would be sleeping again. And it would be far and few through our childhood that he may attend our games, our recitals, or even our events, and would have to, we'd have to wait until vacation to really enjoy his time. And he said, "You
Correct.
know what? I did this because I love numbers and I love what I do,
Correct.
but I knew it was a sacrifice that I would be able to successfully retire at an early age and I would be able to travel with my family when they are of
Correct.
age." And so he
Correct.
had that vision, but he said, "I didn't like it. And I wish I did like it a little bit more than I did because I did miss out on some of the time with the family." And that's what they
Correct.
both instilled. Do what you love, do it right, do it with passion, but make sure it's something you enjoy doing every single
Exactly.
day. And
Correct. That's very true.
yes,
Another issue a lot of new business people face is that, I mean, entrepreneurship journey is it's a
yes,
lonely path. You are on your own.
yes,
And even if you have partners, you have started a startup with three, four people together, still it's a lonely path.
yes,
So how do you, I mean, in a company where you are working, they have teams, you have 10 people around you, you are getting probably employee recognition, some sort of certificate, some sort of medal or something like that.
right,
Here you are lonely. There is nobody, absolutely nobody to praise you unless and until
yes.
you have made some name for yourself. Otherwise, you are just lonely. How you cope up with that?
Yes, that is definitely true. I've worked for different several businesses where I was on a team of 5, team of 10, and there would be 500 employees. And you had that camaraderie, you had that interpersonal connection there.
Correct.
And as you're building your business and building your entrepreneurship, I don't know if you've done this. I've done this a couple times. Should I? And I'm like sitting there and there's nobody around and you're like, I'm the boss. I can do what I feel, because you're so programmed. When you work
Correct.
for a company for so long, well, with the exception of your situation, when you work for a company so long, you always have to rely or cross check it with somebody else. And when you're doing entrepreneurship, you're kind of really walking on the plank by yourself, taking
Correct.
risks and saying, well, we'll throw it against the wall and see if it sticks. And it is very fearful. But
Correct.
in the end, it's rewarding because you're doing something that you've created, something
Correct.
authentic, something of integrity that you have molded over your experience. And that's the beauty of it. I
Correct.
understand at times, when we work for big corporations, we really don't have a say in the decision making, and that's okay.
Correct.
But if when you're like someone like me, and this is when the lens really sharpened in my life, when I was working for industries, and I was just like, I would love if we can do this, or maybe we can tweak it and innovate it this way. And at times I was seen and not heard. At other times, my suggestions were welcomed and we applied it. But when you start seeing the bigger picture, the the success, the potential that something can be, that's when becoming an entrepreneur in a small business is awesome, because you can always tweak and modify it, and you can always expand it, and
Correct.
you are able to receive both positive and constructive feedback from your audience,
Correct.
from your clientele, which allows you to shift gears and make modifications. And they're going
Correct.
to kind of be the support system for you. And in the end, like I said, the amazing and grateful thing is that you are able to make the decision in your own way and make it
Correct.
work.
Correct. Another thing, I mean, when we are just starting out, we are hungry for more business,
Yes.
and then we start competing on prices.
Right.
We, I mean, if somebody is charging $100, I will charge $90, and it's a pricing war that nobody wins basically.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that new business person has to understand that value based model versus a pricing based model. How what kind of advice you will give to new business people regarding value and price?
Absolutely. And this is something that I truly believe in, even on the other side of the counter. It's all about quality as opposed to
Correct.
quantity. And when you, I mean, for example, if I may, look at Disney, Disney World, Walt Disney World. Mr. Disney had developed this amazing theme park, and he
Correct.
was exploring and tapping into what the his guests would want, and his workers kind of rebelled, like, well, you're not paying me that much and we're going to strike. And he has went bankrupt several times, but he saw a vision, and he saw the magic of interpersonal relationships, customer
Correct.
service, and that the guest is walking a red carpet. And who would have guessed that decades and decades and generations, regardless of the price, keep coming back? Why are they
Correct.
coming back? Because of the magical treatment that they receive.
Right.
And I'm sure some people have some difficult experiences, but for the most part, that's what I remember. I remember going to Disney World every year with my family until a certain age, and just remembering it. And now we were able to take our son 3 times in such a young age, but it's the experience. That's
Correct.
what people want to experience, even if it's a
Correct.
materialistic item, a product, or something of another nature. People want to be
Correct.
heard. People want to be understood. People want to be
Correct.
treated with respect and uniqueness. And that's why it's
Correct.
important. It's I love the play on words, customer service and custom service.
Correct.
You adhere your services to the individual in need. So
Correct.
that's
Correct.
what it's important. And like I said, as far as the pricing, you are the asset to your business. You are
Correct.
the value. You are the sticker, the poster, the hub of the business. And if you are able to connect with people on a level of respect,
Correct.
understanding, empathy, and sympathy, everything will fall into place.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And connected to this question is like when I was, teaching web development, I still teach web development, but I was doing a Facebook ad for my course. And there was a comment like, you are creating more competition for yourself, and you are, adding more players into the industry who are just going to bring the market down.
Hmm.
And I think that shows that people are not confident about their services.
Right,
If you are confident about the value that you are delivering, you are not bothered about how others are, pricing their
right,
products or services.
right.
So, I mean, what new business people should do when they are in a crowded market?
Yes,
If it's a very niche market, then you know it's probably a blue ocean and there is no competition out there. But if it's the red ocean and a lot of competitors are out there. How do you make yourself stand out of that crowd?
Absolutely. One thing to keep in mind is we can have social media is so prominent. It's a gift as well as a weapon. You know, we can
Correct,
have like I said, I make this analogy. We could have 99 people supporting us, and then that
right,
one person dislikes us. And for some reason, we are the only humans that gravitate to that 1%
correct,
that is shooting us down. And that
right,
goes deep rooted into what I work in, into the healing process of forgiveness, because that's bringing you back to a situation, an incident, or an individual that didn't believe
correct,
in you in the beginning. However, the other side of the coin is those people who are being constructive and being judgmental. Those are the individuals that I really focus for development. Those are the
correct,
areas. What are they seeing that I don't? And if I'm courageous enough, I will reach out to them. What brought you to that conclusion? So I can get informed and be respectful. But like I said, the
correct,
most important competitor should be that reflection in the mirror that you're doing your best every single day, because somebody's
correct,
always going to judge and somebody's always going to either be more successful or less successful. And you have to focus on
correct,
your vision. What is your calling? Not to worry about everybody else, because if you are genuine, authentic, and do everything with integrity, what I mean by that,
correct,
even when nobody's watching, you're doing the right thing.
right,
And your reflections, behaviors, and mannerisms are of whom you are, then
correct,
there's nobody else to judge than just from above. And that's what you have to feel comfortable and secure in. That when you're in a
correct,
market of, let's say computers, there's a million competitors out there. You have to look in your
correct,
heart of hearts, even though it's a technical world, what is best for the customer? What do they
correct,
need? And listen to your audience. That is the
correct,
most key, is because, as though they say customer is always right, it varies, but you're here for a service or to provide a product. And
correct,
what is the best way that you can be the part of the solution as opposed to being part of the problem? And if
correct,
you keep
correct,
that mindset, then you will be doing well for yourself each and every
right,
day.
correct. I mean, most of the issues are connected with our mindset. One of
Absolutely.
the good thing that you mentioned, like we have 99 people liking our product or services, and then one person comes in, makes a negative comment. And
Right.
actually that, speaking out of personal experience, that derailed a lot of my progress as well.
Yes.
When I wanted to launch my program, before that I was seeing other people's Facebook ad, and there were a lot of negative comments. I said I cannot handle those negative comments,
Right.
and that's why I didn't start even. I never ventured into starting my own ad, fearing that someone will come and someone will abuse me, someone will troll me. And once I got over that thought, like, half of the people are not going to like me,
Right.
but half of the people will.
Right.
And that's where I started, started with my ad, started with my program. And that's the mindset shift that you have to have, before you can have that success, or being on the right path.
Absolutely. And you have to be comfortable in your own skin. You have to realize, and I say this all the time, there's no such thing as perfection. It's,
Correct,
practice till progression. And we're constantly evolving every single day. And
correct,
everything the world is going so fast and changing. And you can't expect to be number one all the time. Actually, there's a
correct,
motivational speak is like, be number two, striving for number one every single day, but not
correct,
to be popular, not to be, full of fortune, but to be a better version of yourself and learn and being
exactly,
open minded to take the critics and to take the naysayers and to deal with that. Because, like you said, for certain businesses and for certain situations, you don't need the entire world. You just need a certain amount of people to believe in you or to
correct,
walk beside your path to be successful. And I think that's the misunderstanding that people have. I need
exactly,
everybody when
correct, correct,
it's not a cookie cutter kind of
True.
industry where it's a true fit for everybody. For
Correct.
example, I work with individuals because I have experience of abuse, neglect, rejection, abandonment, but also being a warrior, a survivor, and never giving up kind of attitude. But I have the mentality where I remember where I came from. That's why
Correct.
I attract those individuals, because I can relate on a personal level. We all have a story of our lives that has a chapter on fear, has a chapter on anxiety, has a chapter of grief. It's just the
Correct.
experiences may be different, but it doesn't dismiss that I don't know what it
Correct.
means. And that's
Right.
what I'm trying to say is like my program or my course, my journey may not be for everybody, but that's okay.
Correct.
My
Correct.
mission is to instill empowerment, instill confidence, and instill that we have a lot of stuff, baggage we have to remove to be successful in the mindset
Correct.
of moving forward. And if we fail, that's another step that we're taking towards success.
Correct.
And if we think that we're all or nothing, to be honest, and this is what I've learned at a yearly young age, is you're going to be wrong every single time. Because if you set up expectations for other individuals, expecting this and this to happen, you'll be disappointed until you are able to actually master effective communication
Correct.
and effective learning of what you're looking for, what you're expecting, and what you're willing to give in return.
Correct. Correct. I mean, two of the points that I you have mentioned, I would like to throw some light on it. One is perfection. A lot of people wait for that perfect product, the perfect
Yeah.
timing to start a business. It's like the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. Second best
Right.
is now.
Right. Right.
And that's what people forget. They want best social media cover. They want best social, I mean, best business card, best website. But the
Right.
thing is, they should start rather than, waiting for that perfect moment,
Right.
because
And like,
it's a process. You are going to evolve. Your business is going to evolve. Your website is going to evolve. And
yes.
that's that they have to understand basically.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why Mr. Brown says you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to
Correct.
be great. And that's what
Correct.
I've learned. I mean, I'll be completely transparent. I was never in the public eye before October of last year. October. That's only a few months. And now
Correct.
I'm on, I'm global. And I'm meeting new people and loving the
Yes.
experience and the journey. But I had a vision. I wanna
Correct.
help people. That's all I wanna do. I
Correct.
wanna help people. I wanna meet new people. I wanna understand those on the other side of, the oceans, and I wanna learn from
Correct.
where I came from, and that's what I love. I love meeting people. I love the connection. But if I didn't take that risk and say, "You know what?
Right.
I'm gonna invest in myself. I'm going to go to the great of the greats and really understand how it's done."
Correct. Correct.
And that's what it is, because it's a difference. I had this conversation the other day with a good friend of mine who's overcome adversity, and it's so amazing because I just love him to death. Nelson Beltajar, the positive.com. He has overcome a tremendous victory, and he still instills in me, you know, that the impossible is possible. I'm possible. And the reason I mention this is because, you know, it's one thing that I've learned to be busy, but it's another
Correct.
thing to be productive.
Productive. Right.
Because
Absolutely
you
true.
can be doing stuff and mulling and grinding, but if you're not seeing gradual results, if you're not
Correct.
seeing the progress of your journey, then you're really just being busy. And that's what I think the huge
Correct.
misconception of individuals and perspective today is, hey, do you have a second? No, I'm busy. Do you have a moment? I'm busy. And you start to kind of wonder, and I've started to realize people are busy doing nothing
Correct.
and not productive, and that's no fault of their own, limited knowledge, lack of education or experience. But this is something that I've learned. I was always, told that I was a go-getter. I was hungry. I was a workaholic, and I loved it. But when I realized I was just working and not producing, my
Correct.
whole world shifted. Because I'll tell you this, and a lot of you out there won't believe me until it's done. And I'm sure, Prathmesh, you can attest to this. When you become productive, you have more time for the finer things in life. When you become
Absolutely.
busy, you don't have time for anything. I was
Correct.
able
That
to
is very true.
successfully, I was able to successfully master adding on every week 10 hours. And by the end of the month, I was having 40 hours of time to do with what I please. And I sharpened my skill. I spent time with
Correct.
my family and loved ones because I had discipline to really hone into what was priority. I
Correct.
tracked how long it would take and I would make sure it would fit. And again, like the puzzle pieces, if life happens and it
Correct.
does, I was still able to achieve my goals.
Correct. Correct. That is very true.
Yes,
And if you are busy and it's going on for too long, you are, just burning yourself out. And
exactly.
then when
Exactly.
important things come, you don't have, energy left to do.
Right.
You are simply tired.
Absolutely. And when you're busy for that long, you're really not being effective either.
Correct.
And like you said, the
Correct.
exhaustion when you really, how many times, and I'll use me as an example. I would be grinding and I would work in my 8, 10, 12-hour days and I'd come home and this was supposed to be my time or my family time. I'd crash on the couch and veg out in front of a TV again. And I wasn't
Correct.
doing anything. So when I
Correct.
unplugged, our family has unplugged from TV, media, and everything because we decided to make a conscious effort to invest in ourselves. Then I had more time. I had energy because I was productive. And those checklists made
Correct.
the world of difference. Even if it's just
Absolutely.
making my bed or washing the dishes or going outside to get some fresh air. Believe you
Correct.
me, if you are when you to those of you who are watching, it's an amazing mind shift and change.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. And relating to my personal experience, I mean, when I started working, I had a notion like I have to work continuously 10 hours, 10 hours straight. No, I mean, you just have a lunch break, maybe a couple of coffee breaks,
Right.
but you have to work continuously. And
Right.
I'm not that kind of a person.
Right. Right.
My patience ends after 2 hours.
Yes.
So I work 2 hours rigorously, then I play a game of chess online.
Yes.
I
Awesome.
spend 20 minutes in that. Again, I start working. So every 2 hours, I play a game of chess, and that just refreshes my mind.
Right. Now,
And
to some people, chess is a little intellectual game. That is, I commend you because I tried to learn chess, and it is. But that's what I'm saying. And I totally agree with you. I mean, if you look at our children, and I remember, going back to school, right after lunch by like 1 o'clock, I'm tapped out. I can't learn anymore, but I had 2 hours left of school. And I was just like, this is
correct,
crazy. And I love that you are able to say that and verbalize that because people look at me
correct,
like I have four heads. I'll work for 2 hours and then I'll play. I'll work for 2 hours and I'll play. But that's because you're giving your mind that refresher of balance that
correct,
it's not grind, 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 grind. It's a
correct,
balance of, and now with me, I love what I do. So I don't mind, connecting with people. But
correct,
there are people, and I know people personally that they get up, they get ready, they do their morning routine, and they are grinding from 8 to 8. And they are
correct,
exhausted. And because they have the mentality, I can't stop for lunch because then it's going to extend the rest of my day. I can't
correct,
make a phone call because it's going to take me off track. Think about that. That's a robotic life.
correct.
That is not a healthy
Absolutely.
lifestyle. And I can, if I may briefly share a story with that.
Yes, yes.
I was grinding and grinding so many years in my life. And in 2007, I had lost my mother. And I realized I took the leave for a few days or so to kind of grieve. But I was like, I have to get back to the office. I have to do my work. I have to really get these reports in, etc., and so forth. And who would have thought, like it was 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a mathematician. So in 2016, I was going to work and going to school regularly. And I got to the office and I sat down for a minute. I was like, I don't feel right for some reason. I didn't understand what has happened. And I had difficulty breathing. So I reached into my bag and I got my inhaler because I had exercise induced asthma at the time that was really temporary, that I really had to be either exercising or something had to occur. When I did, I had difficulty breathing. Ambulance was called. Fast forward, I went to the hospital. They ran a series of tests. They did a throat check. Everything was fine. They sent me home. Less than 24 hours later, same thing, get my bags, rushing and going. And they said, we actually it was an oversight and we believe you have myasthenia gravis, which is, for those of you who aren't aware, I wasn't, was a severe autoimmune disease that could be terminal. So now I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do? I have to go to work. I have clients waiting for me. Mindset. So I called the office, went back to the hospital. Upon arrival, the doctor met with me, gave me the whole checklist, and then I collapsed. I ended up going into the ICU unit, hooked up on machines, lost all feeling in all four quadrants of my limbs, unable to breathe on my own will. Who would have thought? Less than 24 hours, I was just grinding. Fast forward, I talked to my husband midweek, and we had our young son at the time, so he was limited to come to the hospital because of our son's age. Remember, and they were running series, test, negative, negative, but I still couldn't eat. I still couldn't walk, use any of my limbs. My husband reminded us of me of watching when we watched The Secret. Spoiler alert, I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a medical segment there. So he had said, our son needs you. I need you home. Our family needs you. And it was at that moment that I realized I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not giving up. I'm going to go home to my family where I need to be. And this is a wake up call. Wake up the next morning. Now I couldn't walk on my own will or anything, remind you. Team comes in, drapes my feet over the hospital bed. I jump down because of my petite stature. And they say, well, today's the day. If we don't know what's going on and you're unable to walk and keep food down, your stay is going to be further extended until further notice. I was already away from my family an entire week, unable to see our son and our family and really contribute. So I decided that evening prior that I was going to be discharged. Team came in and I was able to walk to the nurse's station and back and consume 2 full meals on my own. And I was discharged later on that day. My father picked me up. We went to our son's school. My husband was working. I picked him. I hid in the back seat. He came in and he said, Mommy, it's like Christmas. I prayed that you come home and I'm so grateful. This is the best day ever. The reason why I share that story is because my mind got the best of me. It was mind over matter that I realized that I had to constantly grind. I had to do my due diligence as a wife, mother, employee, and a family member. And I was dismissing my emotions. I was dismissing
Correct.
that balance. I was dismissing being a human. And I was
Correct.
saving all that energy for the weekend when I'm already exhausted with the extra commute hour on each end of an hour commute. So the reason, ladies and gentlemen, I tell you this story is because every single moment of our lives, we have a choice. Every single
Exactly.
moment, our mind can be either a weapon or that of wisdom. And it is once we align our mind with our heart, that's when our success is going to be the most prominent.
Correct.
Because if you
Correct.
follow your heart and not the herd, and I play that pun because it could be the masses or what you hear will get you hurt. And on the other side
Correct.
is success and happiness.
That is such an amazing story, and
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate sharing it with my audience. I mean, it's really inspiring.
Thank you. Thank
And
you. And it, and it's
Really great.
and it's the unspoken things because
Correct.
I had a medical list: osteopenia, fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, exercise induced asthma, gallbladder removal because of 7 ulcers, appendectomy when I was young because it almost exploded. But if I went, it was, and several respiratory conditions. And it was at that moment that what Steve Jobs says: if you look at the dots and connect them backwards, you
Correct.
understand why you had to go through what you went through to get
Correct.
you where you are today. And that
Right.
hospitalization in 2016 was a wake up call. Like, I need to be mindful, I need to be balanced,
Correct.
and I need to respect my body and my health because I am the
Correct.
asset to my business
Absolutely.
and to my family. And I
Absolutely.
really want people to hone in at that, because so many people prior and also to what's going on today in this crazy world, so many people
Correct.
are now, for me, 2020 was a clarity. I was able to say, step back and say, wow, over 2 decades in social work and psychology, my medical and personal experiences, how can I wrap this in a gift and in a nice bow and share my
Correct.
message with others?
Correct.
So thank
Correct.
you.
That's really amazing, Andrea.
Mhm.
And thank you so much for sharing this.
Absolutely.
And so we are almost at the end of the podcast. And
Huh?
anything you would like to say, anything that I might have missed that
Absolutely. So if you are watching on playback, I encourage you, or today, type in the chat or get your phones out and type, type in my email, am.andreamasons@gmail.com, and type in Prathamesh online business. So you'll receive your free gift that I will be more than honored to share with you. And I leave you with this message: everyone has a story. Everyone has a journey. Some of us have rugged terrain, some of us have smooth sailing. But it's the experiences that we go through, the knowledge that we learn from the lessons and people we've lost. It's important that you understand that in order for you to fail forward, to be successful, that you build your life and legacy with love. Love will conquer all. Love will heal your wounds. Make sure you have an inner circle of individuals who will be there to wipe away your tears, to shun you from your fears, and most importantly, to celebrate with you when you cheer. Through the toughest times, miracles are made. Follow your heart and not the herd. Through life's trials and tribulations, triumphs are won. And when you learn how to press play, plan life according to you, success and happiness are just a step away. I am your personal accountability coach. I do not dictate. I do not lecture. I listen. I learn. And together we walk side by side and create a strategical path in a measurable timeline to help you live your dreams and make them become reality as they have done for me. Thank you.
thank you so much, Andrea. This was a great message and it was really great podcast. You have shared a lot of value with our community, a lot of value. I mean, I really cannot put it into words.
Mhm. Thank you.
And so, on behalf of Online Business Made Easy community, I would like to thank Andrea for joining our podcast. And maybe in future also, you will be, sharing your wisdom and knowledge with us. I
Absolutely.
thank
I
you
welcome it.
again for joining this.
Thank you so much. What you see is what you get with me. No excuses, just filter, sincerity, and transparency. I appreciate your time. It's a great gift. That is something that cannot be taken advantage lightly and never replaced. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. And thank you so much for tuning into today's podcast. And we'll meet next week. Thank you.